Hello ratbags, it's Jade Plays Games. Welcome to a showcase where I highlight some of the more unique open world survival games coming out in 2019 relying on in quote zombies. In fact, some of these games don't have zombies in, they may in fact be mutants, they may be robots, but you get the general idea. Maybe it's even just NPCs, but the idea of an open world survival game where you have to thrive, survive is pretty much cemented in gaming lore now due to games like DayZ and 7 Days to Die. These two games probably more than most highlight and show what you can do with the survival genre. They also show the limitations. Both of these games are quite old now. They've taken a long time to come out, with DayZ only hitting 1.0 after nearly 6 years of full development, and 7 Days to Die scheduled for this year after again another 6 years of development. So what can the future hold? What can survival games that may possibly come to Steam, come to console in the next 18 months do better to maintain momentum, make sure they keep on top of their game, make sure that they're fulfilling their duties and keeping their community happy and delivering a game that they're happy with, and we are. I say that because DayZ definitely feels a little bit left behind at times, and I think if it had got more development money and time put into it early on, it really truly could have been the most exceptional survival game out there. For what it is though, it's a fantastic hardcore open world experience, but often too much gets compared to just a walking simulator. 7 Days to Die on the other hand is directly inspired in my eyes by more about Minecraft than actual DayZ, but it certainly has got the survival and the horror elements. Again, it suffered maybe from not moving with the times, not keeping its technology up to date, or possibly trying to fit too much of new technology into the game rather than focus on just releasing it and moving on to something else. So bear what I've just said about them two games, because that's the benchmark that I'm using. These games have got a lot to live up to that are coming out in the next 18 months, because despite their criticisms, these two still are the premium examples of how to lay out a survival game, even if they did take too bloody long. So kicking off in no particular order, Scum. Of course, this is almost a phenomenon now. Sold over 1 million copies in the space of a month when it hit early access, with a publisher behind it that knows how to get early access games out there and make the most of indie games. Scum has definitely been a success. It's currently sitting on a bit of a mixed review situation, but that generally happens when you sell so many copies. Lots of people want the game to go in different directions, and of course the developer are going to piss off a fair few fans when they make decisions and changes. But no doubt about it, this open world, eccentric on the player's health and the health and their body, really has taken the world of survival games by storm. Scum looked at DayZ and said, "You haven't got enough in you. What can we do different? What can we add to keep the experience from being just a walking simulator?" Packing the player customization really was one of the best ideas, making sure that your character, the size of you, really impacted on what abilities you had in the open world. Also, the vitamin intake is much jested on, and it has been deemed the vitamin simulator now, but it is a crucial part of Scum. I'm not that keen. I do think they've maybe overstepped a little bit, and they need to go back to just keeping the focus on the emerging gameplay that can happen when you've got inmates running around a madcap island filled with mech robots, monsters, and of course other players. But there's no doubt about it, the Scum developers have kept true to their word, updating the game constantly, adding huge features, loads of content over the last 6 months since it more or less launched. And it's got a significantly healthy player base. So Scum has come a long way, and it will go even further. This is probably the one that's going to be the most standout game out of this list in terms of being developed, in terms of the power, the money behind it. And I really don't see it being one of these games that spends so long in early access that we all kind of forget about it. It has got the iteration very quick and rapidly, and the dev team seems super dedicated to making sure Scum is the game that they envision, as well as taking on board community feedback. A huge year for Scum. I don't doubt they will deliver on what they set out when they launched. This next one is very polarising. Survive Nights has been around for a good sort of 18 months or so. It's unlisted on Steam at the moment, but you can purchase it. It is one of the most expensive early access games of this type that you will be able to buy. Around $25, that signifies to me maybe a little bit too much for what it currently is. It's got some unique ideas, and when I first saw the trailer for this, I love the idea of the more detailed aspects of it. There's lots of hunting in the game. There's also aspects where it affects your mental health. You've got to take care of that side of things. The usual things like vehicles are in it as well, and there are lots of aspects I really liked. There of course are zombies. There are other players as well that you'd be teaming up with and doing and going and trying to live and make sure that you don't get ambushed by quite large numbers of zombies. It's got fairly good environmental aspects as well, so I was struggling to see why it's been under the radar, why no one else has really covered this that I know of, or why it's kind of sort of not talked about. It's very janky still. It has got that high price point, and I think that's putting a lot of people off from experiencing this game. I think if developers reduce this down to what it really accurately, is worth, is around $15, maybe $10 even, I think it could probably do well for itself and expand over time and then increase the price once they get going a little bit. The character models are a little bit iffy, they're very basic, but the rest of the game for me looks pretty cool. There's lots of interesting aspects of it that I'm looking at and going, yeah, it looks amazing. But from what I've heard, resources and stuff like that is very hard to come by, so that negates any of the new innovations like seasons where you can actually build your own farms and go with the times and have to really roll with what nature intends in terms of your backups of food. The electricity and the tools and the traps, that looks amazing. It reminds me of like Home Alone, building your chisel, getting ready for the zombie horde to come and maybe hopefully not turn you into a zombie bandit. It's definitely one of them ones I'm gonna have to try for myself as soon as I possibly can to really give you a heads up on whether or not it's good, janky, or just needs a little bit of love and TLC. But as I said, it has been around for a while now and they still haven't even entered a fully fledged early access state, so it does make me question whether or not the validity of this game means it's actually gonna launch properly. So lots of features, in many ways much better looking than some of the other games that I'm going to be showing you, but certainly from word of mouth I'm not hearing a great deal of good things about the game, so I'll try this one out. Survive Nights, available now at a very expensive price point. There are so many open world survival games on Steam. How do I go through all the crap that's there and find the games that have actual potential or something different about it, or just in a very much more advanced stage so we know it's not just some asset flip cash ripoff? This barely made my list, but Deadside is a game that's been spoken about by other content creator friends of mine, and there is a little bit of hype around it. It's of course using the Unreal Engine 4. So many of these games now do so because it offers a cheap and easy way to get your game up and running. Using the store-bought assets is not a problem for me as long as game developers can iterate on it and change it and customize it over time. This appears to be the case with Deadside. It has a massive open world. I do believe it's developed by a Russian team, so there may be some issues with social media posts coming in the next few months, but they have literally just gone live today with their first alpha sort of preview. And this is why I give them a lot of props. Not many game developers, especially in early access, will show gameplay so early on, show their systems or at least their ideas. Many rely on just screenshots and heavily doctored trailers to get them through the process so that they can get onto Steam and actually start selling copies, regardless of actually how much of a game they actually have. But these guys do seem to have something available. It looks good, it looks okay. It does look, of course, a little bit bog standard, what you've come to expect playing games like DayZ or now in fact Scum. But Deadside promises to deliver a real world experience. There are no zombies in this game, there are no mutants, there are no aliens. It is player versus player in a real world setting. Bullets will have trajectory, they'll have hit markers, and they will change and impact you differently if you're hiding behind a plank of wood or a plank of metal. That's the way it's going. They're really trying to put bullet trajectory and the ballistics of bullets at the heart of it being real. They're also going to be adding real world vehicles as well, and it is looking like it is meant to be focusing on this idea that it's all about you facing off against real players or NPCs. I know I said there's no zombies, but there are NPCs. There's going to be roaming bands of militia or even cannibals who will basically be trying to eat your face off. What Deadside has offered so far, looking into it, is also more unique takes on mission structure. The open world will have green zones where you can trade with NPCs, you can basically store up some items so you don't lose everything like DayZ, and it will give you something to maybe go towards and work through. There are also events on the map that consist of maybe the militia or the cannibals maybe attacking a settlement or going to war with each other. You can come along and choose a side. You can decide who you're going to help, and it may affect the rest of the open world nature. Maybe other factions will be more resistant to you. It may open up other avenues for you to trade with different NPCs. Of course, some of that is more or less hyperbole. Right now they have just got the very basic shell of the game and a very large map that they're still in the mode of custom editing. So if you're sick of zombies, you're sick of mutants, you want something a little bit more realistic but you still want that open world nature, then maybe Deadside will be for you. No idea about when it's going to be releasing, but like I said, I'm really happy to see them taking a good positive step and showing the gameplay in a live stream right away rather than relying on just the usual tropes. I'll keep you up to date when this is actually coming out. It just says early access 2019. Apparently if you're making survival games you have to have the word dead in the title. No, I kid you not. Dead Matter is a game I've been looking forward to, probably the most out of all these games. Something about it just drew my attention when I heard it, and I saw it for the first time last year. Developed by a very small team, financed by an Indiegogo fan project, it does mean they've got a little bit more backing than some of the other titles we've seen. However, they still have yet to launch in an alpha state in Steam. Scheduled for November, it was going to be going out to content creators and influencers. It was pretty much a bad idea anyway with so much going on. They delayed it until at some point at the start of this year. I'm really looking forward to getting hold of this. I am part of that content creator group. Hopefully I'll be able to show you some gameplay first. I really like the fact it's realistic, but it also looks fantastic. They're really striving for realism in this game as well. There are no skill trees, there are no skill paths, you won't have anything you'll be pumping points into. Fully customizable weapons and items that you can make yourself. Dead Matter is set in Canada, which makes a nice change from America, and it's got ideas about adding lots of vehicles to the game, lots of different ways to get across the map, and of course a heavy focus on the usual aspects of a multiplayer online game. There will be PvP, there will be PvE, and of course there will be lots of zombies. But what I like about Dead Matter, the zombies don't look like just completely brain dead eating creatures. They actually look like they've got some decent AI behind them, and they look like they run well. The animations in this look superb, the lighting, I just really like the feel and look of this, and that can play an important part. One of the biggest detractors for me from 7 Days to Die is it hasn't aged well at all, and this is what I consider the new generation of survival games when they start to look and feel like a real open world. It's had a bumpy close to 2018 with some of the creators behind the project leaving to go and do other stuff, and so I think they've been snowed under a little bit. But updates recently show they're still plugging away, and hopefully we'll get some access to it at the very start of 2019. I can't wait to show you more details about this game. Expect me to do more focused content on this in the future. Dead Matter, my personal pick, what I want to see be developed for sure. So I mentioned 7 Days to Die maybe not aging well, and this game has probably taken inspiration from 7 Days to Die. It is a bit of a blocky survival game. You can tell by the graphics it has got that same nature. I haven't tried it yet. Subsistence has been around a while. You can buy it, it's in early access, so if you want to go and try the game out, it's on Steam, and it's fairly cheap for the price it is too. I think this game has got potential because it focuses more on the NPC side of things. You don't go to war against other players, you go to war against NPCs. Very much like Rust, but in an offline mode. It does have co-op though. You can play this with your friends, so you don't have to be too lonely against all these NPC enemies. And as you can see from the latest update that came out just before Christmas, progress is going pretty well with combat, and it has been around for about a year or so now. So I'll say it right now, Subsistence ain't gonna win the prize for prettiest game, but if the gameplay core loops are there, if the actual gameplay is tight and it's got really good crafting and them survival aspects, then maybe it doesn't need it. That's relied upon with 7 Days to Die. It's the gameplay that you're there for, not necessarily the looks. So maybe Subsistence can follow that path. I really just hope that they can get out of early access and not spend as long as 7 Days to Die did. This one's got a mostly positive review score on Steam, so definitely give it a try, and it's one of the most further along games out of this list, so let me know how you get on with it if you do. So some of these games I mentioned have not even begun life on early access, but even when they do appear in early access, doesn't always guarantee we're going to get a finished product. Probably the biggest instance of this is Just Survive, the H1Z1 survival spin-off that got cancelled this year. So no matter the popularity at the beginning, we've seen how long it can take for some games to actually get finished. Don't always count on these games coming out. Just an FYI and a little warning. I'll definitely show you guys these gameplays. I'll definitely give you as much information as I can, but I don't want to get people's hopes up too much, or we could be in a situation where we're all just a bit pissed off that a game that we hoped would come out and receive updates doesn't actually ever make it. RIP Just Survive. Lost Region is another game I've heard a little bit about from subscribers, content creators as one to watch. After taking a review of it though, I've really not seen anything too amazingly special. What I am seeing of course is the usual tropes of an American wilderness with towns, some zombies, and of course you've got to survive and thrive. There does seem to be a little bit more focus on more biomes. But that's pretty much it. It is a carbon copy of DayZ and other games that have gone before it. Maybe it can elevate itself by getting out of early access and continually updating the game and improving on it very quickly and rapidly. That will set itself apart, and if it can have a compelling game loop, even though it has got very much inspirations from other games or direct copycatting, I don't mind that much. As long as the game is actually good, as long as it can deliver, I don't care where it got its inspiration or where it's copying from, as long as it is something fun to actually play. So another one that barely made the list, but Lost Region is something that's been talked about, so I wanted to put it in here to give you guys a heads up. I'll give you some more information as I come across it. Miscreated actually left early access as well in 2018, and that game offered mutants as the main enemy type. So if you're sick of zombies, how about, well, not mutants, robots? That's what Zero Survival offers. Again, very early stages. It's not even available yet, I do believe, for purchase. It has, though, undergone some open alphas. They're limited time events, so you do have to get onto it. Go to the website, sign up for it, and get aware of when the next one's going to be. But as you can see, there are drones in this game. There are NPCs as well. It is an open world survival game. There will be player versus player interactions, but you can see you're taking on robots, you're taking on humanoid figures. These are the main bad guys. Now I know that may not seem like a biggest deal, and is it worth really highlighting a game like this then, if that's the only difference, but it does seem to have a little bit more to it. I like the environments, I do like the idea of building your own sort of drones. That is definitely more unique than some of the other games we've looked at, and you know what, robots sell it for me. If you are sick of zombies, you are sick of mutants, then something like some mechanical creatures, I think that opens up a new world of enemy types that you could put into the game. You could have huge bulking mechs, you could have massive robots, 8 armed monster robots, all sorts of things could happen in Zero Survival. But I'm pleased it's in alpha stage already, so I'll keep you up to date of when we get a chance to play this for everyone. This next one is definitely different from all the rest because it's not an online game. Well, not yet anyway. It's a single player survival experience. Yes, there are zombies or mutants, and it is of course Myst. Now this is quite a good game. There is very small parts of it though at the moment. The map is very underdeveloped, but it's a very small team making it, and so far I quite enjoyed it. There was definitely a real tinge of creepiness when the mist came in and the zombies were coming out. There's different enemy types already as well. We've got 2 or 3 different types of enemies, and there are NPCs in the game, bandits that you're going to have to take out. This seems to be very much the way forward, not just littering your game with zombies, but giving them NPCs to either trade with or to maybe make the enemy. Myst also offers the ability that the NPCs can become your allies. They will pal around with you, you can recruit them, and they will become part of your crew. So that adds another aspect, keeping them happy or trying to find more NPCs that can convert to your calls. The gameplay is pretty tight as well. The shooting aspects were okay. The crafting survival was a little bit lackluster, very similar to what we've played before, so I'm hoping they can revitalise it and give it a bit more unique spin. But the idea of making a home, your home, you know, an abandoned place, and building it up and putting defences around it. That really felt good, and it has got, I do believe, custom building in it as well. So Myst, very, very under the radar, but I think this is a great game. Even if it isn't an open world game in terms of online, it's still got bags of potential for being a good game to play on your own. And maybe, who knows, if they get enough feedback, get enough funding, they can at least expand it to something like a co-op game. I think that would be really great to play this a la 7 Days to Die. So give this one a try. It's not too badly priced at all as well if you like survival games. I played this a few months ago and I really enjoyed it. Myst, available now on early access in Steam. Jaws of Extinction is the next game you're going to be seeing on my channel. I'll be taking a good look at. It is in an alpha state at the moment, but it's also got a free to play demo. It's going to be a single player game as well as an online game. It has got PvP and PvE elements on the online side, but there is a story to be followed, exploring this idea, or this island of Eden Nadir, I do believe. So Jaws of Extinction offers very, very good tropes. It's got all the basic stuff that you'd come to expect, but it's got biomes, it's got weather systems, it's got vehicles, all that good stuff, all in one game. Can it live up to the promise? Can it live up to the potential? I'm not sure. It wasn't given maybe the best receptions when it did launch in its free-to-play demo in April last year, but since then it's had a bunch of updates as well, and they've been revitalising and going over some of the assets they're using from the Unreal Engine. A good chunk of the games I've shown you are using assets from the engine itself, the store, the Epic Store, and I'm not a big fan of that normally, but if it means a game developer can get out there and try some new ideas, and it makes life a little bit easier until they can hire graphic artists to hire new people to come and transform them store assets into something more that of their vision, I don't mind, because that's what we're looking for, is the gameplay loops. It's what interests us with these games, is how they perform as well as how they look. But it is a word of caution. I don't know how many more times I can see an open world environment set in the North American outback and using the same sort of character model. So I really hope that any other developers out there will be looking at maybe this video, who knows, and going, you know what can we do that's different? That's why I like that robot one, Zero, so much. It was adding something just a little bit different to the mix. Jaws of Extinction doesn't necessarily add anything different to the mix, but it adds a whole bunch of features, and I like the fact that it's also single player and it's got a story to it. You're going to be rolling around, maybe trading with NPCs, maybe rescuing them, stopping hordes of zombies from attacking your base as well as others, and of course the PvP and PvE side of things. Fully customizable weapons, lots of items, lots of crafting, all the good stuff. I'm looking forward to Jaws of Extinction, so that's why it's going to be next on my list to show you properly on my channel with a small mini let's play. And there we go. For good, for bad, for better, they are the zombie games, the open world survival games utilising mutants, robots, whatever you want to call it, NPCs, that are coming out in 2019, hopefully. I say that hopefully, you never know, they may be in development hell just like DayZ and 7 Days to Die, but I'm really trying to illustrate the point. There's some fantastic games out there. They may not necessarily be as original as some of the games that have gone before it, but if they can improve upon, if they can deliver something quicker, better, and just more responsive to what communities want, I think they've got a great chance of succeeding. Let me know, out of all these games, what one you're most interested in. Let me know if there's some games I missed out, and of course let me know if I got anything wrong. I'll gladly cover these games again when we get some more compelling gameplay, or we get a chance to actually try it out when it comes to early access or some open sort of alpha. I am Jade Plays Games. Make sure you hit up this video with a like. Look out for my other videos. I'm going to be showing you some lots more open world games coming to you in 2019, as well as a bunch of other great games that I'm interested in playing. I'll see you ratbags very soon. Bye bye.